Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Score podcast, where we're going to be talking about some of the greatest things that are happening in the sporting world. How we doing today, big bro over there?
What's good, my boy?
You must be happy camper. Your Thunder up 1-0. Western Conference Finals. Looking pretty good so far. I mean, it was a close game in the first half, and then, whoa! Hold on a second. This is the first time I'm seeing you right now. This is the first time I'm seeing you right now. Hold on. I gotta pause.
There were no technical difficulties.
Pause, Carlos Rodon. Pause. Okay? That's who you look like right now. You look like Carlos Rodon of the 2024 season. Oh, my God. Wow. What made you decide to leave the stash and shave everything else?
I messed up my beard when I was trimming it yesterday, so I was like, I can't have nothing, so I'm going to rock the stash.
Amazing.
Honestly, I can't see you either, but I was just going with it because I texted Ben. I was like, yo, Harry's going to have a reaction.
Yeah.
Oh, I just want you to know, Josh, that it was a great reaction. I had you both on screen. Couldn't have gone any better. It was really good. It was nice. I loved it.
Beautiful. I appreciate it.
You rock the stash. Let me tell you something. You look like the pre-2024 change of rules for the Yankees where you could only rock the stash and no other facial hair. George Steinbrenner would sign you right now to a major contract if he saw you. I'm just telling you. Rest in peace, but he would sign you. He'd see you right now. He'd be like, this guy's fit to be a Yankee right now.
Like, this guy gets it.
Little does he know that his sons have changed the rules due to our closing pitcher, or at least now our setup man saying, maybe we need the facial hair. What was that supposed to be?
I did that one other time. That was Luke Weaver's song. That's our closer.
Luke Weaver? Oh, that's what you said? Luke Weaver?
No.
Is that what you just said?
You don't know that? Ben, you definitely know that song, Dreamweaver.
Of course I do.
Dreamweaver?
Yeah, you sung it very well. I actually heard it when you sang it. Yeah, couldn't tell you the rest of the lyrics, but yeah.
They don't matter. They play that. They play that when Luke Weaver comes into the game.
That's all that matters. Yeah, that's all that matters.
I mean, I have to, I guess, listen to this guy when he comes back on the mound because I don't pay attention. Now, here's the thing, too. I haven't seen him as a closer in 2024 or 2025, and they don't play that when you're watching on TV. You're not getting the whole ambiance of the music of what's playing. So, sound like you were just singing over there. But regardless of the fact is, Stash looks good, bro. Stash looks good.
You're always looking fly. I can never keep up, so I gotta try something new.
I need a little shave. It's been a weird week, but we'll get that taken care of so that we're on the same page when it comes to looking good on the facial hair. But let's get back into the sports.
You never have like the ones that I always get, like those little ones, the annoying ones.
The annoying ones? What do you mean?
Like you're always like, if your beard is ever anything, it's just longer than you want. Like you never get like the.
Oh no, I do, but I don't want. I keep my. You see where my line is, right? I keep it like this. And then I keep it like over here. And then you see now I'm getting a little the fuzz over here, both sides. I get a little fuzz. That can't be, can't happen. I was thinking maybe get some laser and just like laser my face so that I don't have to have any facial growth in these certain spots. My barber said that's the worst idea he's ever heard. Huh?
I did that on my back. That would probably be a really bad idea on your face.
Yeah, no, it would not be good on your face. But I thought about it, and so it came and it went. My barber said, "Don't do that." Now I thought he might have been saying that just because he wants me to keep going back, so that he could just keep cutting my beard.
Nah, that would really hurt, like a lot.
Listen, it probably hurts anywhere you do it, right?
Your back's not so bad.
Women do laser in many parts of their bodies, and kudos to them. So if they can do that there, and I mean, men do it too.
Yeah.
Right. So the face. Listen, it's never gonna happen. Let's not even consider this.
We'll leave it there.
Let's just get back into what we're good at. Yeah, let's get back into what we're good at, which is talking about the Thunder. They're up 1-0. It was, I think it's going to be a good series regardless of the fact is, but it was a close first half, and then you saw the Thunder kind of in the second half take off. Now, I do want to challenge you a little bit, though. And you know how I feel about...
Are you throwing the red flag?
Regarding what?
You said you wanted to challenge him.
Yeah. Why would I throw a red flag?
the sports reference, bro.
Yeah, isn't that a
Oh,
to
all right. No, but we're not talking about football here. You can't confuse me. Listen, football. We're in the off season right now. Okay, I need to talk
All
about
right, so how
challenges
about
and red
this?
flag.
How about this?
Okay.
Is that better?
I mean, no,
Is
I
in
like
season enough
this
for
one.
you?
I like this one a little bit better. That's what they do in the NBA. They go like this. Challenge. Okay. Anyways,
Gonna
I got
be
a little
like
brain
one.
fart there. Yes, of course, the red flag means challenge, but I wanted to challenge you in the sense of, you know how I feel about SGA. You know how I think
Yep.
he's MVP and well deserving of it.
Yeah.
But he's at the free throw line a little too much. And I noticed that last game. And, some people were kind of saying, well, this is kind of what we've been seeing a lot, which is fine. Listen, you get the call. It's not your fault. The ref's calling the call, right? You're going to do what you got to do. But the truth is, it seems like the refs have been giving him a lot of lenient calls, man. I've been seeing this game looked like they kind of just tossed that in the Thunder's lap, the way that these calls were going. And I listen, I think at the end of the day, the biggest problem with the NBA is viewership. And when they see things like this, it just consistently brings the ratings down. Most of that is because these refs suck at what they do. And frankly, if you had to put a tier list of all the refs / umpires in the sporting world, or at least in the United States, I would put the NBA refs as the worst by far, because I don't understand how sometimes they blow that whistle. I really don't. I'm fascinated when someone falls to the floor and there's no contact whatsoever and they're whistling. What did you see? What made you blow that whistle in that moment?
Because
Because
the contact isn't at the top. The contact's at the bottom.
there's no contact on the play, is what I'm saying. There's no contact whatsoever.
Well, that's the one that got challenged and overturned. Did you know that? I feel like everyone's saying that, but in reality, Joker shot more than him last series. The Nuggets shot more than us last series.
Well, there
You know
was
that?
two specific situations that really got me, and it was maybe it's nothing to do with Shea, or maybe it does because he's the star player on the team, but in the sense of when you're the star player, you get a lot more calls going your way. We've seen that throughout. It's happened, listen, I could say it's happened to LeBron. It's happened all throughout the history of the last 10 years of the NBA, it feels like, right? When you're the star, you kind of get that extra call. But I saw two specific plays where one of them was Shea went right down and they called it a foul. There's no contact whatsoever. And the other one was a step back where it was an and one and they called it a foul. And I'm like, who are you calling the foul on? Who touched him? It made no sense that they called it a foul. I don't understand how these refs are calling these. And yes, we have these challenges and all that, but when you don't have a challenge, when the ref's just making a call and it's going to stand regardless of the fact, it's ruining the game. I mean, this is the reason why people don't want to watch basketball anymore. The physicality is crap, because anytime there is physicality, it's a foul. And even when there isn't any contact, they're calling fouls.
I
So
disagree. I think that they need these players like the the Thunder are so good because they play team defense, and even then they foul. But other teams are just there was a famous quote from Kobe that came out where people are playing accidental basketball. They're chucking up threes, hoping to tip out a rebound and shoot again. He's like, when I played, they were setting up offenses, and I know that this guy likes to guard me when I go to the right, so I know to when I go right to have Fisher come up behind me and he'll have an open shot. Like it's a whole thing like that, and I don't think. I mean,
but wait a minute, this is getting a little farther away from what I'm talking
no,
about
no, no. I'm
specific
coming back to it. I'm coming back.
situations.
I'm coming back to it. But the point of it is that um, the game is just different now in terms of the amount of players who actually play defense for 48 minutes. And Shea is the hardest player in the league to guard. And you'll see bitter people on X. I know you're not bitter. You're looking at people's reactions and commenting. Maybe you don't like it, but I don't think you're bitter about it per se. But I think that when you look at it, he's so hard to guard. I mean, if you put your hand on him and it's a foul. Like if
What do you mean if you
you
put your hand on him, it's a foul?
I mean, like, there's situations where people try to say that it's not a foul, but then the hand's there and he goes to shoot and he's crossed, like he's hit, and maybe but the contact with him is always at the bottom. Everyone always looks at the release. He works on contested jumpers. He works on wow. The Timberwolves. Sorry, I got distracted by a stat. The Timberwolves shot 51 threes last
That's part of their
time.
game, though. That's what
I,
they do. They shoot a lot of threes. Those Timberwolves.
they hit 29% of them. All right. Anyway, the they foul him, and every player that's ever look at LeBron, like you said. I mean, Kyrie when he's really on. When you look at KD, when you look at anyone, they're trying to put the ref in a difficult position. James Harden, they're trying to put the ref in a difficult position where 50-50 calls. Like if they're making contact with me, they want the free throws. But at the same time, yes, refs do need to kind of establish early in a game what is a foul and how much contact is allowed, because I do feel like sometimes even going against us and going for us, people I feel like teams will kind of start the game with a couple fouls, then there won't really be any calls in the second quarter, and then they'll come back. And even and I mean the free throws by team were 26-21. So just because it looks bad if you want to say, because he's really the only one driving and making things happen like that, but you can't you can't I think free throw merchant is I don't think you said it, but I've heard Doris Burke say, and I think that's a very unintelligent basketball analysis of it, because anyone who could do anything to get an advantage in the hardest basketball league in the world would do it. And the players, yeah, they get frustrated after a long series of guarding him, but we lost games to the Nuggets. And you know what? That's not a team that we should have went 7 games with. But in reality, he draws fouls.
This has
And
nothing to do with Shea, though, man. This has to do with the refs. This has nothing to do
no,
with Shea.
right? But
Regardless of if he's getting fouled or
everyone,
not, it's not his fault that they're whistling him. I'm not telling
right?
Shea to change your game. Shea, do your thing, man. If you're getting called, you're getting called. It's not your fault that they're calling it, whether or
Yeah,
not, falling and things like that. I mean, there were certain situations that, listen, at the end of the day, nobody's perfect. But there was I'm talking about two specific plays that
sure.
there was no contact,
Mhm.
undisputable, not from the top, not from the bottom. And I'll
Well, I
send
was
you over the
actually,
links. I'll
I
send you the
think that,
links too. There's no
no, no, yeah,
contact.
yeah. I mean, I
And they
watched the game,
whistled the
but
foul. They whistle. They're
yeah,
so ready to whistle. And I understand what you're saying. Players now, they want to draw the foul. That's that they
yeah,
want to get to the free throw line, because why not? It's not only taking free throws, you also want to put the other team in foul trouble. I get it. Listen, when it
yeah,
comes to basketball, it's probably one of those sports where I understand what the mindset of the player is more than I do in baseball and I do in football and I do in
yeah,
hockey or any other sport, is because that was the one sport that I played for a very long time myself.
yeah.
But when you're a ref and you're now in the Western Conference Finals or the Eastern Conference Finals, regardless of the fact is, because we're going to see the same crap happening with Jalen Brunson on the other side too. He gets a lot of calls.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to touch on that's relevant too, because these guys, if you okay, so I understand the angle
I
you're
just want to
saying
say
from
one more
one
thing
out.
real quick and I'll
Yeah,
let you
yeah,
go.
yeah,
Just because things have happened consistently where SGA has been fouled a lot doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen now.
you're
So
right.
they're ready to go. They're like, SGA gets to the line a lot because he gets fouled. But when he doesn't get fouled, we're still going to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's not the right way you do this. This is why NBA
Is this
is
a
going
quote?
down.
Is this a quote from a ref?
This
Like,
is
did a
just
ref
me.
say
I'm
that?
saying this. I'm saying this right now from the top of my head because it's the way I feel. I mean, I love this sport, but I'll tell you right now, basketball is nowhere near what it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It's going down and down and down. The fact that baseball is now passing basketball is almost insane,
Yeah,
but it's
that
the
baseball looks
truth.
like it was dead in the water for a minute.
Now baseball is like all over the place, right?
Yeah,
Japan,
all
all
the
over. I
time.
mean, just thank you, Shohei
But
Ohtani, for all this. But I'll let you go and say what your piece
yeah,
is regarding this. You know how I feel about SGA, and you know how I feel like
yeah.
he's the MVP. But when you're the MVP, doesn't mean you get more calls just because you're that guy.
No, of course. And one thing that I wanted to touch on now that I understand the angle a little more is that guys like SGA, like Brunson, like I'm sure Ant does too, maybe not as much, but they practice fall away shots that they anticipate getting fouled. So if they don't get fouled, that's where the refs are making the mistake. That I agree with you. That they practice these real game time situations that you'd be remiss not to practice, because if the and one exists, why not try and if you get hit, be ready to at least hit the shot a quarter of the time. But that's where I agree that the refs need to improve. Where these guys practice this in practice, like they're not. I don't like when people say that they're foul baiting or anything like that because in reality they're getting like because if they didn't elude like that, they'd get smacked in the head, and then who knows if your favorite player would be playing on more than just SGA, Brunson, whoever. But I think that when you focus on the ref side of it, yeah, they need to maybe play a little 2K and understand that guys have these moves and maybe try and understand what they're trying to do in the moment and then if it's 50-50, maybe let it go. And then if the guy says something to you when someone else is at the line and you have a conversation, it does most of these guys aren't bad guys. Like if I mean, obviously guys like Draymond Green are yelling at them after one thing, but I'm
Everyone
confident that
complains. Everyone complains.
right, but I'm just saying like I don't think guys like Brunson, like Mitchell, like SGA, so many guys in the league. The first time I don't think they would yell at the ref. I think they would say, "Ref, I thought I had that one." And then they'll say like when you fell away, I understand that these are tough shots that you work on because you anticipate being fouled, but no one really touched you. And then he's like, he got me on the foot. Okay, I'll look out for it next time. And then if he actually hits him on the foot, you call it. I don't think that the 50-50 should go the way of the free throw shooter. I do think that that's one thing that if and then sorry, I but that's one thing that I think soccer does really well, where when with the yellow cards, where if you're fouling a little bit and you foul like once or twice, the ref will say enough, stop doing that, and then they'll just give drop ball and they play on. But if you keep fouling, keep doing the same thing, then you get a yellow card, among other reasons, and then it's just because you're fouling. But I think that I know it's not the same thing, but I'm just saying I think that there needs to be a different type of training or I think that when the contact is made, like fine, but when it's not, I agree with you that
The problem
the
is
refs
they're
need
using a term called marginal way too often. It's marginal. What's marginal? Can we define marginal in the NBA world? No. You go to review and they say it was marginal contact. What does that mean?
that's just textbook talk for being able to fit the way they called it, and they're
But
not always wrong.
define it. What does that mean? Marginal. You know, we've
I
seen
mean,
different calls and you get marginal here and marginal there. It doesn't add up necessarily. First of all, the blocking foul should probably be reviewed because it's honestly getting called way too often for no reason, and I just
yeah,
don't understand what's happening anymore.
a lot of and
We
ones.
should not be seeing 30 free throws a game. We shouldn't.
Yeah,
We don't want. You want to go to a game where you see 30% of their points are coming from the free throw
well, that's
line.
each team.
I'm saying we've seen games where maybe not 30 each, yeah, 30 combined, but you've seen 40 free throws, 45 free throws
I don't
amongst
think
both teams.
Yeah, I don't think 30 among both teams is
I
terrible
saw Donovan Mitchell
over
go to the
four
free throw
quarters.
line himself 22 times.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But Donovan Mitchell, and I think I can agree, we can all agree that that man just throws his body at every single person and says, fuck it. I don't care. Excuse my French. But that man, when he gets a foul, he's coming down hard and
Yeah,
he's coming down aching. But that's not what we're getting into right now. What we're getting into is how do we congratulate the Thunder at the same time as bash the NBA refs for really not doing what you should be doing as a ref.
I think we
And
need to make a little montage. You and I need to look at some videos, and there will be some of Shea. There will be some of other players. We can even go back and look at things like Kobe, like MJ, and you could even say like this wasn't a foul then, or maybe you'll look at it and you'll say, you know what I mean? Like we
MJ, we've seen those videos where the ref. You see that video where the ref comes up to him? He's like, I believe you, Michael. If you say so, I believe you."
no
I'm
idea.
just
That's
like,
funny.
I'm just like, what am I watching right now? He's like, that was a
I didn't
foul.
see that.
It's
You'll
like,
have to send that to me
I don't
too.
know. I don't know, Michael. I'm sorry, but I'll believe you. And he comes up to me. He's like basically caressing. I'll believe you in like the middle of the game. If I see that again, I've seen it so many times. I'll send it over your way. It's
Sounds good.
hilarious. It's like joked upon now, but even considering back then when he was playing that, NBA was much tougher sport. Stuff like that was happening because at the end of the day, when it's MJ, it's MJ.
Yeah.
But It's happened to LeBron, and it's happened to Kobe. It's happened to all the greats in the NBA because they seem, and it happens to Jokic a lot too, where the slightest little thing will lead to a foul. And
Jokic
then
is a different. Jokic tries to jump over people that are a foot shorter than him, and then acts like he's not 100 pounds heavier than them when he does.
first of all, they gotta put down their foot when it comes to the flopping fines. If you flop, you're getting fined $15,000.
Well, what does that mean to them? I feel like that's like me asking me for
Every
a quarter.
time you do it, though, the problem is you don't see it. We don't see them calling it enough. Usually, when it's a foul, the NBA and the front offices of the NBA are supposed to look and say, "This was a flop. You're going to pay $15,000 now." Are you going to keep doing that again? If you do it four times in a year, that's $60,000.
If I'm making $50 million and shooting 20 free throws a game, and if I get
So there's an
charged 15,000 a
escalation.
game,
You do it 3 times at 15,000. Now it goes up to 25,000. You know. And at the end of the day, listen, we could talk about salaries, but none of these guys want to pay that fine. None of them want to pay more money than they have to. You know, because 50 million is really like 20 million.
Personally,
at
I
the end
think
of the day.
more valuable than the money would be to totally put them on blast. Like if the league posted on their page, this was a flop, this player is getting fined, more than the money, the player would look really dumb and get cooked for it.
We've seen it happen in the past. I mean, guys like Rajon Rondo, Lance Stevenson, they've been hit with fines, and it's a $5,000 fine in the past. I don't see many flopping fines get thrown around left and right. To be honest with you, the NBA should love to do this because they're going to make a lot of revenue getting all that money back from players. If you can realistically charge $15,000 for a flopping violation for every single time it happens, if we took and looked at every single game of the 82 games of the regular season and looked, I guarantee you the league would be making millions of dollars. Millions, because it's so many instances, and it happens way too often, and people just shrug it off at this point and say whatever, right?
You know, fine is $2,000 now.
What is it?
2,000 now.
A flop is 2,000 now?
Yeah.
How does that happen? How do they
Probably something in
lower
the
it?
CBA, and the league still made $14.9 million on
But
that.
that's the problem. Players are renegotiating a fucking flopping fine, and it really bothers me because it was $5,000. I know it was years ago, and now it's $2,000. But these guys are making so much more money, and they're still not even getting called for these flops. Oh my goodness! Adam Silver's a great commissioner, but there's a lot of things he does not very great, which is managing these ref situations and not instituting these fines that should be instituted. $2,000 is nothing. $2,000, I'll go on the court right now and flop. You could charge me $2,000 too. I could pay that easily. Okay? But if you're talking about an NBA player who's going to flop and you're not even going to charge them for it, it's crazy. It happens. It happens. We definitively know in the NBA, and I wish we probably could look this up, how much money the NBA has made from charging players from flops.
I just told you.
No, overall, I'm saying like in the
Just the
2024-25 season, like how much were fined via flops. I'm certain we could probably look that up. But the fact that it's that little and it's not called enough, I think the NBA has a lot to work on. You know,
Yeah.
I think there's just too much. There's a reason why people aren't watching this anymore. They don't want to watch.
I mean, look at us. Like I feel like you used to look forward to watching the finals no matter who was in it. And
I couldn't care less. Unless it's the Thunder for your sake, I couldn't care less. Really.
Exactly.
I'm not watching the Eastern Conference Finals. What do I care about the Pacers and the Knicks? Yes, I'm from New York. Yes, it could be good for the city of New York or the state of New York, for the sports of New York. But I couldn't care less about those two teams in the East. And I like the Thunder for you. And I'm a big fan of Anthony Edwards, personally speaking, but that doesn't make me want to root for the Timberwolves outright. You know what I'm saying? So, you know,
Even if you did, it wouldn't be a problem.
I think the Western Conference is at least worthy of a watch versus the Eastern Conference. I'm not saying it's not worthy of a watch, but it's not worthy of a watch. It's just brutal basketball. Jalen Brunson's going to get the same crap calls, you know, he always has gotten his whole life. And I'm not taking away from the fact that he's a great player. It's not his fault that they're not calling it or they're calling it when it shouldn't be a call, you know? So you can't blame the players. The players are going to do what the players are going to do based on what's been happening so far, right? NBA has to do something about this. I prefer to get a little bit more physical back in the NBA world. I don't think it's going to happen, though, unfortunately. But, at the end of the day, your man over there is an MVP. I think you're letting us know that it was leaked. It's supposed to come out tonight.
Yeah, I think like after we're done recording, it'll probably be broadcasted. It's supposed to be between him, Giannis, and Joker.
Well,
but
since those other two guys are no longer in the playoffs, not that the award has anything to do with the playoffs, but I think you look at it, right? And I think, Jokic probably had more consideration than Giannis did. I think that's fair to say, right? And then you look at the fact that they just played a 7-game series and who came out on top. Whether or not that's supposed to take any consideration, I promise you the voters are looking at that, right? I promise you.
The vote should have to be in by the end of the season, but I feel like they don't really have a precedent for that.
No, I mean, in any sport, even for the MVPs, it comes throughout. For the baseball, same thing. These guys they look for every single way to give themselves an easier way to vote, right? Whatever, even if it's a playoff appearance where the player did well, okay, now that player resonates in the back of that person's head when it's time to, pick who's going to vote. SGA. Now, if you look at the numbers and the numbers alone, it kind of makes a difficult conversation because Jokic put up some ridiculous numbers, right? The truth is, though, SGA led a team to the first seed, won 66, 67 games in the regular season. They're in the Western Conference. They're the best team in the NBA because of him and because of, obviously they have a great roster around him, but you have to give the guy who's leading his team through the best brand of basketball we've seen overall as a team sport in the Thunder, and that's led through SGA. You take SGA out, they'll probably still win, 40 games maybe, but they're not the 1 seed in the Western Conference, that's for sure. You could probably take any player, and I think the best way to look at it is you could take any player in the NBA, remove Shea, put them on the Thunder, whoever you want. They're probably not nearly as going to be good. Probably not even going to win 60 games.
Yeah.
So that speaks volume in itself on why he's getting the MVP this season. Averaged over 30 points per game. 35-5 guy. Plays good defense. Luckily for him, the team is so good overall that it makes
block a game. I didn't know block a game. I didn't know.
It makes it. That's a great stat, honestly. If you're averaging a block a game as a guard.
Yeah.
But the team plays such good basketball overall that it leads to everyone just playing high volume, high IQ, great basketball. And that's what you like to see. This is a team game. There's no other sport, maybe in the United States, soccer obviously is a sport, but that plays this level of team sport, right?
Yeah,
hockey does, but the fluency of basketball, the way you can make a basket from inbounding the ball without putting the ball on the ground is the perfect way to make a basket. You just pass.
Yeah.
You don't have to put the ball on the ground, right? If we ever saw that, I'd be very happy. Oh, excuse me. I'd be very happy if I saw something like that happen because that would be peak basketball right there. We'll never see that happen though. Maybe from one of our teams. The only 2 teams that your team, my team, disaster. Honestly, I have big problems with the Cavs, but the Thunder, they play good team brand of basketball. They know where everyone's going to be. That's the reason why they're so successful. SGA knows where Isaiah Joe and Lou Dort is going to be, or where Hartenstein's going to be, or where Jay Williams is going to be, or either Jay Williams is going to be. He knows exactly where they're going to be. And not only him, but everybody on that team also knows where everybody's supposed to be. Caruso knows where Chet Holmgren's going to be. Cason Wallace knows where Hartenstein's going to be. They all know the strengths of each other, which makes them so dominant, which makes it the reason why SGA is going to win this, one MVP. Well-deserved. So all the haters out there might say, no, it should have been Jokic, but frankly, I didn't see anything different out of Jokic other than the fact that he's still putting up great numbers for him to get that award. So congratulations. You deserve to give some kudos to your guy. Obviously, I've been talking a lot here. So give SGA some love, man. I know you love him a lot.
Congrats, man. We'll just keep going.
So we'll kind of scratch on the basketball. We'll kind of get into some football now. We got some free agents to discuss. We haven't really talked a lot about football. Some of the major free agents:
Contract years for them that are coming up where they're going to try and play big to get a big raise.
Micah Parsons, T.J. Watt. That's the defensive front. I mean, what is Dallas and Pittsburgh going to do if these guys leave? Right.
Yeah, they can't let that happen.
So, I mean, I think the problem becomes ownership.
Hmm.
Are they going to be willing to compromise in some sort of category, especially when you look at someone like Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys, right? And Jerry
Hmm.
Jones. How does that play out, right? How does that play out? I'm asking you, actually.
Yeah. I think with Micah Parsons, I mean, he's been playing under $5 million a year right now. So he's definitely due for a big time raise. And if they don't do it, that he's gonna go to either the Giants, the Commanders, or the Eagles to make sure that they pay for it for the rest of his career.
I mean, I would say no Giants only because like where do we have room for him as much as that would be absolutely insane. He'd probably go to the Commanders or the
That's what
Eagles
I would think. I would think
because he's
Commanders.
got a little pissed with the Giants. The Giants were supposed to draft
Yeah,
him. They told him they were going to draft him.
yeah, he's a little spicy.
Yeah, and I mean at the end of the day when he's as good as he is, plus, I don't think we really have the room to put him anymore on this front line of the defense, which is
I
fine.
have,
But
I have an interesting take.
I will say this quickly. I wouldn't mind seeing him in a Commanders jersey and just giving the
Yeah,
Cowboys a
that'd be
lot of
cool
hell for the rest of their career, for the rest of his career.
for sure. Um, or even going to the Texans just to make it an interstate thing, just to mess with them. But I have an interesting theory. I feel like something that would make sense would be for contract year Mike Evans and contract year Terry McLaurin switch spots next year.
I mean, it can fit, right? I don't see
Yeah,
why
because
that can't happen. They're both two high quality wide receivers. I like Mike Evans a little bit more, but um,
I just think that the way he's aging, I think it's a little more. He's a stud when he plays, but I feel like there's more and more games where he's either not playing or leaving for some series. But he's an absolute stud when he's on the field. I watch him twice a year, and I think a guy like Terry McLaurin going there. I mean, I feel like they just having receivers like that. I feel like is Baker's forte, and then with fully healthy Godwin next year, I just feel like Mike Evans would be a little more expensive and a little older. So I think that a swap would be good to get a veteran in there with JD.
well, you also have Debo Samuel. Unless is he a free agent at the end of this season? That's something that we should probably
I
look
didn't
into.
see it, but it's
I
possible.
think
But
he is. I think he's got a 1 year deal left on his current contract. So the Commanders are going to have a lot of things to consider when it comes to their wide receiver group next season. Um, Listen, Terry McLaurin is been a staple for them through a bunch of quarterbacks. He had Taylor Heineke throwing him the ball for some time, and now he's got Jaden Daniels throwing him the ball now. And I mean, similar with Mike Evans too. He went from Tom Brady, he had Jameis Winston, and now he's
mhm,
got Baker Mayfield. So I think what really is going to matter is what we see in this coming up season, right? I mean,
mhm,
what do the Commanders do? What do the Buccaneers do, and how far do they get? I mean, at the end of the day, we all know that football's not that sport where it doesn't matter if you win doesn't necessarily mean you're going to re-sign with a team. It's all about the money, what makes sense. And so we
yeah,
see players all the time. They win a Super Bowl and they jump ship, they go someplace else because it makes more sense for them. But I think we'll see. I mean, what ends up happening throughout the season to trigger a potential move for both of these guys to go elsewhere. But two high quality receivers. I wouldn't mind getting Terry McLaurin out of that division, but at the same time, if you're bringing in Mike Evans, I don't know if I want him.
yeah.
I don't know if I want Jaden Daniels having that type of target. I'll tell you
That's
that
very
much
fair.
because he's a great receiver, and I think if anything, one of the more underrated receivers of our generation. I mean, he's got some crazy stats for being in the league as long as he's been. 2014, I believe, is his rookie year, so he's been around
Mhm,
for a long time, and he's done some great things. He's won a Super Bowl, right, with Tom Brady. That was his
mhm,
number one weapon for that couple of years in Tampa Bay. So
for sure.
I think regardless of his age, he'll still be a quality receiver in the following season after this one. We'll see what ends up happening. T.J. Watt, another stud defensive player, though. Wonder what's going to end up happening with him because I know he's been getting pretty vocal this offseason about his salary situation. And I mean,
Same with Harry.
I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have been really, really dropping the ball on what they're doing. They still don't have a quarterback.
God, I hate this holdout thing Le'Veon Bell started. We'll talk about it another day though.
It feels like it stemmed from what Le'Veon Bell did, and now it's affecting them. I don't know, 12 years later, right? I mean, they did draft a quarterback. Who did they draft? Jalen Milroe went to the Seahawks. They did draft a quarterback. Dylan Gabriel, no, he went to the Browns. Shador also went to the Browns. Tyler Shuck is a Saint. So they did draft somebody. It's not coming to me right now. They do have someone.
I low key think Will Howard, but I think that
Will Howard. There you go. Yeah.
I think the Browns drafted Shador so that those Steelers wouldn't get him so late. That's my theory.
I don't know. I would have to be inclined to believe that because you took Dylan Gabriel the round before. I don't understand why you'd go take another quarterback right after that, especially when you have Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco in that room. It's a pretty weird room in Cleveland right now, that quarterback room.
A lot of quarterbacks, too many quarterbacks.
The point is, I mean, let's go back into what we were mentioning was T.J. Watt, right? I mean, the staple of that defense for those Steelers, and I think he's starting to get that feeling that he might be looking for a new home.
Yeah. I mean, it's so tough to project where he would go because I feel like there's so many good fits for him, but
Houston.
I don't know if I'm a GM, if I'm going to make an investment like that in a guy who is not available to play very often.
What about Houston?
That'd be crazy.
Right.
They're used to having a Watt player that plays 40% of the games but gives it 100% every time.
Well, I mean, yes, but there was times where, the health was there. Hasn't been recently, obviously, and it stinks, but listen, you know how I feel about injuries. You got to take that into consideration all the time.
Yeah,
sometimes people don't take it into consideration and you make moves and it affects you in the long term. But at the end of the day, he's a special player, right? On that defensive end. He could do a lot of damage, whether it's, playing in the AFC or the NFC. We'll have to see. I hope he finds a good home. I think he's a great player. I think a lot of people think he's a great player. And I hope he continues to do a lot of damage to quarterbacks. Maybe not brain damage, but rest of the body damage. I would definitely appreciate that. Sorry, I just got a little distracted there.
Yeah. No, that's all good. I think that's coming from upstairs here, honestly.
But listen, at the end of the day, these guys are going to get paid multi-millions of dollars wherever they end up playing. Another player that we should discuss is Trey Hendrickson. Right? I mean, how many sacks did he have last season for the Bengals? 20?
Yeah, something like that. A really good number. Former Saints, great.
Insane number. And I think the Bengals need to do whatever they can to re-sign him because I don't think they could afford losing him.
Yeah, I mean, they drafted someone to play the position, but with the factor that he would be playing with them, not in spite of him. And but he's come out and said that the relationship's not broken. It's definitely fractured, but it can be fixed. So I think they'll work something out. There's so much money in the league. I think that maybe they'll just let him sit out a game or two, save literally $3 million, $4 million from him not playing 2 games, which is wild.
That's the Hassan Reddick effect right there. I don't want to get into the Hassan Reddick effect, but that man is an absolute imbecile for what he did to himself last season and probably affected the Jets in a bit that way too. But let's wrap up these NFL free agents. Any final thoughts you have regarding these 5 guys that we just mentioned?
It's some quality talent that I think it could be interesting to see if the Cowboys aren't contenders, if they try to blow it up and really trade Micah Parsons to really get, because they can affect the entire Super Bowl race with trading him, but they could also get a bunch of assets that they could build up with. Honestly, Steelers too with TJ Watt.
Ben, you got to do a little better next time, okay? Have we not had this I'm sorry, Josh, for a quick second. Have we not had this conversation, Ben?
Yeah, I know. I got to invite him in. I know. I'm sorry.
There's a bench with 3 seats right there for a reason, okay? Not that one. But
no.
Let's keep going back into. Sorry, Josh. This has been a very distracting day today for some reason. I don't know what's happening today in Boca Raton, but it's a little distracting.
That was a perfect transition into the
Matt's question.
Yeah, the final segment with Mr. Matthews' question from Benjamin.
Ben, you know what to do.
All right. Are we? Of course. Why am I not on camera? I gotta put that camera on. I'm sorry, guys.
Gotta
All right,
do it.
here's
Guys,
the
camera
camera.
shy,
The
he's camera
camera's
shy.
on. All right, so we got the question for today. Oh wait, here you can't see me yet. Can you see me? Nope.
I can't even see Josh.
There we
Now
go.
I see
All right.
everyone.
Good.
Perfect.
Okay, so Matt's question for today is: do you think that the Mets are contenders or pretenders? They had a red-hot start but faced relatively easy teams, and now they're facing better teams and struggling. What are your takes?
They're contenders in the sense that, considering how well they did last season and considering what they've added to their team this season, they're going to contend. Does that mean they're going to have an easy walk-through trip to the World Series? Absolutely not, because that rotation stinks other than Kodai Senga. So if they're not going to go out and make some moves, maybe at the deadline to go help bolster that rotation, I don't see this team making it too far in general. But they're going to contend. They're going to win games. They're going to probably win, at least 85 to 90 games, I'd say at a minimum, right? Which will get you into a wild card spot or potentially win that division. I know that the Braves are starting to climb back up, and the Phillies are the Phillies too. But when it comes to the Mets, I wouldn't call them a pretender. They're just not that bad.
Yeah. I feel like when you look at them, they actually have the top rotation right now, but when you look at the names, the the fans before the season wanted more. Clay Holmes looks good as a starter. He doesn't look great, but he looks like he'd be a really solid number two if you got an ace. If the Mets got an ace in there, I mean, but the thing is, Sang is pitching like an ace, so it's so tough to look at this team now and say we have to add a pitcher, add an ace level pitcher. But you take Griffin Canning or Tyler McGill off the bottom, and you put a superstar on top. That's a really solid rotation.
Did I
But
just hear you say they have the best rotation?
numbers wise, I'm not trying
Based
to.
on what numbers? ERA?
Yeah,
Really?
or it might be the whole pitching staff. I don't know, but they're Senga's a 143, Peterson's 286, Canning's 247, Holmes is 313, McGill's 374. So they're all pitching well. It seems like the coach knows what he's doing. But when you look at the offense, that's where they really expected a big step forward with bringing Soto in. But an 815 OPS is not going to cut it. But he needs to just get out of his head.
Soto
And
sucks.
I mean, yeah,
Hold on.
right now.
Right now, for what we've seen him do, he sucks. He's not playing. First of all, did you notice that he's not bending down nearly as much in his stance? He's a little bit more
yeah.
like loosed up, and he's just like sitting there like nonchalantly swinging a bat. Last season, we saw him get down on the ground, like he was basically level with the ground. And now he's just like sitting back, relaxing, da 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 da, walk, strikeout, walk, single, walk, strikeout. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, there's only one other year that he's had an OPS under 900, and that was 2022. It was 853, but other than that, it was over 920 every time. So I wouldn't bet against him to figure it out, but that might take some time, and it's a very weird situation because you look at the offense and you think this should be okay, at least at the top, to just add some complementary pieces. You look at the rotation and you say, I want an ace, but the guys are pitching just well enough where you can't make a move. So I don't know if it's sustainable, but if all the guys that took steps forward on the bump do that, I think that they'll be okay in that division. And then when the playoffs come around, whatever they add will be the huge difference to see if they can make it past what they did last year, which I don't think they will.
well, it definitely looks like Griffin Canning has definitely figured something out. The rest of that rotation, other than Senga, I mean, Clay Holmes has been a reliever his whole career. How sustainable is his arm throughout the rest of this season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's never going to have this many innings put on him by the time June rolls around. So, what do we really expect from this rotation when Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas are out? And those two guys are supposed to be at the top of their rotation. Senga was supposed to be their number 5. Peterson was not supposed to be starting, and I don't even think McGill was supposed to be starting, considering they
Yeah.
had Griffin Canning in there. And
Or I think that one spot was for either Canning or McGill, but I think one of them was supposed to not have a spot.
well, considering that Griffin
I meant
Canning is
Peterson
having
on
the
the
better
other.
year, not
I
saying
meant
McGill's not
Peterson on
having
the
a good year, but Canning is looking pretty good this season. So
Yeah, looks like they found something there.
regardless of the fact that it comes down to the sustainability. Obviously, their offense hasn't been producing well, but you look at the names, you're like, oh well, obviously Soto and Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, but look at Mark Vientos. He's not doing what he did last season in the playoffs for you this season. He's playing pretty bad. Starling Marte looks like he's got 14 holes in his bat. So that leads to a problem. I mean, we just saw this series, right? The Yankees played the Mets this past series, and it looked like we got in their heads pretty badly, especially
Yeah.
Soto. I mean, the guy looked like he was having a terrible time out there. After the moment where he tips his hat at home plate after his first at bat, from that moment on, he had a terrible experience in the Bronx. But that's what you get. That's what you get, right? You leave, you go to the crosstown rival. What do you expect, right?
For sure.
What do you expect to happen when this is the New York Yankees and the Yankee fans? This is what we do, right? So, listen, nobody's going to feel bad for you. You got paid $800 million. Congratulations. Overall, though, I don't want to get into this whole Soto thing. I want to answer Matt's question, which I think we both have. I think they're contenders. I'm not saying they're going to go and win the World Series, but I think considering that there's 3 division winners and 3 wild card teams in each league, they should be one of those teams. So
Yeah, they're a real threat to win the division, in my opinion. But
yeah, sure, I see that happening as well. Why not? They could easily win that division. So we'll continue to monitor what happens with those pesky Mets, but we'll see. At the end of the day, they're still our little brothers, right?
100%.
Anything else you wanted to mention regarding those Mets?
Nope, we're all good on that. But I want to initiate it this time that you could catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Great to see everyone. And if you got any comments on the stash, I love to be called crazy too, but I also love good vibes too.
This guy really took the words right out of my mouth. He's like, I don't want Harry to mention it this time. He said, I'm going to mention it myself.
Hell
So
yeah.
I was pretty impressive, but we can't ever forget about our famous yogiisms, right? This one's going to be a repeat one. You're going to let me know what you think on a scale of 1 to 10 rating wise. We buy good, but why buy good luggage when you only use it when you travel?
I didn't know that was a repeat one. That's funny, but
Why buy good luggage? You only use it when you travel.
8.5.
Really?
It's good. It's good, but I feel like there are some that have the laugh factor that give it the extra oomph.
Yeah,
Like
right.
that's good though. That's
Right,
fine. That's giggle. That's a giggle.
Well, you heard it here for the first or the second time. We're not sure yet. We have to figure this out. But thank you guys for tuning in to another episode here at Beyond the Score podcast. Please don't forget to call us crazy. Comment away on social media. We love to hear your thoughts. Thanks again, Matt, for a great question. And we will see you guys next week.